Hello guys, I'm gonna do this short video on the difference between different kinds of dragons today. I'm actually starting a big competition later today, which is called the Millionaire Open, happening here in Las Vegas. And my students requested this video, basically the topic of it, that I was explaining in a few of my lessons, and I wanted to um, create a little guideline for you guys to follow to make sure that you face properly both the classical dragon and the accelerated dragon. So what do you guys see on the board right now? G6. So this is the last move that black played, meaning that if either G6 or knight C6 is played, that means that black wants to go for an accelerated dragon. So in this case, you do have the option of just of continuing D4, same as classical dragon. C takes D, knight D4. Let's say knight goes to c6 or bishop g7. At this point, after either one, bishop g7 or knight c6, you have the option of going for Morozzi bind, but at this point we actually going to explore the classical idea, bishop e3 right here, defending the knight on d4, and at this point black plays knight f6. So the difference right now is between the classical and the accelerated dragon is that this pawn didn't move to d6, meaning that black didn't spend time putting the pawn on d6. So at this point, what the common mistake that the players make is they play f3 and then thinking that this is Yugoslav attack, whereas black is going to castle first, and then after white continues queen d2, black delivers d5 right here, and instead of playing d6 and d5, whereas the standard position uh, would be this long castle, and actually here, even here, d5 is not desirable for white. White generally likes to play bishop c4 instead of long castle to make sure d5 doesn't happen. So at this point, this is really coming out ridiculous for white, since queen d2, d5, and black is a tempo up, playing a move that white generally tries to prevent to begin with. So this leads to black getting some either really good counterplay or just straight up advantage. For example, pawn takes, knight takes, knight takes d5, queen captures, let's say knight c6 here, exchanging another piece, queen c6, long castle. Here we can either play bishop f5 or bishop e6, and look, the bishops are shooting in the queenside direction. If you put it on f5, this is just really it might just be a lot of the scenarios lead to white losing this game fairly quickly if he's not careful, and if white does defend, then the endgame may be just about equal at best for white. So this is really not the way to do it, and I've seen so many times that white just fell victim of this particular move order. So I would like to prevent you guys from making the same mistake. So right now when black plays his final move knight f6 here in this position, move number 6, we're going to go ahead and play bishop c4. So at this point we're preventing d5, and as black plays d6, we're going to have the option of playing f3. Castle, and at this point we're going to play simply queen d2, and we reach this perfect setup, which is Yugoslav attack. So this is just about time for us to actually see what is the classical setup that I'm talking about. Most of you guys probably know, but some of you guys are still guessing. So the classical setup is the following. Play knight f3, black actually chooses d6, that's the way to go. d4, c takes d, knight captures, g6, bishop comes out to e3, bishop g7. So you notice this pawn on d6. White now, black really threatens to play knight g4. At this point white has to play f3. So at this point black never really has the opportunity to play d5. At this point white is going to play e5 with the opportunity to push forward or solidify this powerful center. So that doesn't work. If knight c6, queen d2, Now if d5 here, then we're going to play bishop b5, and that puts a lot of pressure right there, at least wins the pawn. So if black castles, we're going to play bishop c4, and as you can see, we reached that same position that we were talking about earlier. So let's come back and let's actually look at the accelerated dragon once again. Knight f6, f3. So there's a lot wrong with this f3 idea. So now what we want to do is actually avoid playing that mistake and continue with the better bishop c4 at this point. So now black is gonna castle and leave us with the situation where we gotta figure out what is our next move. So first we gotta figure out what is black's threats. Well, one of the black's threats is the following. Let's say we play a castle, and then black is gonna capture on e4 all of a sudden. As we take the knight, black is gonna play d5, creating this pin. Now this is really not a big deal. White can still continue here, but chances are black is going to be able to equalize fairly easily. Another problem is that let's say we play f3. So at this point black has this idea of queen b6. So it's different once again, because in the previous situation we did have the queen on d2, or black was in castle where after knight f5 knight g7 was going to be a check. So knight f5 meaning that the bishop was going to hit the queen. But long story short, queen b6 here, we got the pawn on b2 hanging, and we got the knight on d4 hanging. So now if white tries to play bishop b3, this is a chance for you guys to take a moment, pause, and look for some tactics, because it's going to be very useful for you guys. So you're welcome to do that. Alright, go ahead. So now black has an important idea for you guys to know, and this is a common idea in Sicilian as well as chess overall. And this is going to be knight takes e4, where bishop is hitting the knight, and the bishop on e3 is hanging as well. Long story short, this is something that you guys want to avoid, where black actually, the situation where black wins a pawn. There's also knight g4 possible, is also favorable for black. So this is what we're trying to avoid. So at this point, an important move to make sure we avoid the pin, the fork here, and we avoid the queen b6 idea, the double attack idea, we're gonna have to play bishop b3. So after we play bishop b3, here's the funny example, actually a funny classical example, and this is something for you guys that you can dig deeper and investigate. This is going to be knight a5. A lot of you guys might be aware about this idea. So at this point, this is Fischer-Reshevsky, e5, and at this point, when the knight retreated, this is a classical sacrifice of bishop takes f7 here. So as black went with fishing for the bishop right there with the knight, he kind of weakened his central situation. So at this point, if rook takes, we got the little tactics out here. Now I could give you guys a couple more drills here, but basically, here's the deal. Knight goes to e6, and the queen has nowhere to go. All the squares are taken. And if the pawn captures the knight, we're going to win the queen right there. If king takes, we're going to play knight e6. The queen is hanging on d8, so black, once again, the queen is trapped. King takes e6. We throw the queen right there. King goes to f5, g4. King takes, the only move, rook g1. King goes to h5. We can just play queen d1 and go ahead and finish him off right there on g4. So this is a classical example, definitely something for you guys to investigate deeper, especially if you haven't seen this. So at this point, knight a5 is not possible. There's an interesting idea of knight g4, queen captures, knight takes on d4. Once again, this is something that you guys can investigate. I believe there was a game by Nezhmedinov where queen went to the side, I think, early on, and at this point, after black played bishop f6, Nezhmedinov had queen f6 coming, sacrificing the queen for the bishop and the knight. I believe it was actually done after castle. So this is another thing that you guys can investigate, another classic right there. So now we go towards the most logical. One thing to mention is actually there's a move of a5 here. And that's another little challenge right here. So this is another thing you guys want to investigate. The idea would be a4, hitting the pawn on e4. And now we're going to go ahead and play d6, after which knight g4 is being threatened again. I'm going to play f3. And let's say black plays bishop d7 in this position. We're going to continue queen d2 and rook c8, long castle, knight e5, h4. So we're back to our classical dragon scheme. So I hope this video was helpful to you guys. So once again, memorize this move order and look at this video over and over and over again, because I've given quite a few lessons based on this theme, because I find it very important for the players who are starting out and aiming to actually solidify their repertoire or just get the most chess learning, is to play open Sicilian to begin with, and Dragon is one of the most active systems, so I definitely recommend it to play for both white and black. I actually have some DVDs on that. You guys are welcome to check it out. So this is an interesting position and full of life, but it's very important for you guys to make sure that you get the move order straight, so you can have the later success in the middle game, and hopefully develop this powerful attack with white right there on the king side, and if not, adjust accordingly to make sure that you're not blindly following the system that's not going to serve you in Accelerated Dragon, where it's good in Yugoslav Attack.